Alright, boys and girls, finally gonna get this Denali plow installed. Had it around for a little bit. 72-inch steel blade for the XP. Snow's coming, it's only a matter of time. So we're gonna get this baby installed. So I'm gonna rip open some boxes and I'll show you what everything looks like. And then we'll do the install on it. And we'll see how it works. Here's a quick look at the ribbing on the plow itself. Looks like it's pretty well gusseted. Some shadow looks like garbage, but looks like it's pretty well gusseted up, especially in the bottom of the blade. So here's what comes in the box with the plow. Here's the lift arms, and then one of these other boxes for the XP, because it's so tall, they actually make basically a lift kit for the plow that allows it to drop down so the blade stays flat on the ground. So we're gonna take a look at that and see what that all looks like. But so far, got a couple boxes open here and move on to the rest. Okay, so here's the push tubes and the swivel, like 3/8 steel, definitely heavy. One piece rolled and then it's welded all the way around. Then you have the actual push tubes themselves, which is a steel tube, fully gusseted, and it's got weld nuts, and not just some sort of garbage tack on each side. It's actually welded solid and gusseted along the sides. So definitely a beefy piece of steel. So this is the lift kit that I was talking about. You can see where these bars mount here and here, and it actually brings it up like 4 inches. It puts the back of the plow back down so that it works good. So we got the attachment for the actual push tubes and all the hardware. We got the lift kit. We got the plow shoes. We got the mount that actually goes in the General, which, take a look at that. That thing's pretty beefy. Kind of excited to see how that all goes together. And we got the flags. So, let's get this thing figured out. Pretty much the first thing you gotta do is pull this front bumper off if you want a General. Apparently some of this mount works for a Razor. Of course, this General guy's bumper here. So there's some bolts with a nut back behind the radiator. So you gotta pull that little radiator cover out of the way, a little grill. There's 2 bolts there, and a bolt inside of there and inside of there. There's just plastic covers covering that up. And then the bumper comes off. Of course, anybody who has a winch or a deluxe model or an XP, you'll have to pull the hook off to get the winch line out of the way. So that's the first obstacle, and we'll start mounting up the actual mount. So the plow mount is on. It's actually not bad. I thought it was gonna hang down further. It's minimally invasive, I guess you could say. When I'm charging through the woods and stuff, hopefully it's gonna be fine. Put a bolt back there in the back, and it's all flat right up until these ears. So it's just really these ears and this angle that stick out. So behind those 2 bolts, there's a plate. It bolts right there through the frame, and then through the frame of the plow mount. And then those 2 bolts back there. Everything's left open if you need to change your front differential fluids and all that fun stuff. And then behind these is where the bigger bolts are at for your front bumper. You'll have to take your grill out of the way. And then down in here, you can't really see it, I guess, but right there is where those nuts are at on each side for the bolts that hold that front bumper on. And then once that's out of the way, you can put the mount on and then in reverse order put it all back together. So like I said, not too bad. I was hoping it wasn't gonna hang down very far. I mean, it's only just a couple inches, 3 inches maybe, so I guess I can live with that. If I can't, I'll take it off in the summer. But I think for what it is, it's just probably not worth taking off. If you get into a lot of rocks maybe. I don't know, we'll have to see what summertime brings. How many times I smash it on stuff and how strong it is, I guess. So here's with the lift tubes, with the lift kit for the lift tubes. So these things have just a slight amount of bend to them, just like the factory bracket. One's gonna go on the inside, on the left-hand side if you're looking at the machine. The other one's gonna go on the right-hand side. You just bolt them up, and then this pin obviously goes into your mount. And there's just some hardware to bolt it up. I don't think that's gonna be too bad at all. I'm not a huge fan of how high, but this is a pretty beefy piece of steel, so we'll have to see how it feels once it's up on there. So I have this little issue. We got these 4 washers. This is for the lift kit part for the lift tubes. No go. Like, probably not even gonna hammer them through no go. I tried, I even ran them with the ratchet to impact. Not gonna happen. So, luckily, these ones are actually more heavy duty than what comes in the kit, and they actually fit. So you may wanna, I mean, you could drill them out, but that's a giant pain. So I luckily had some other washers that I can use, so I can keep moving along on this thing. Here's where we're at so far. We got the lift kit on the push tubes. We got it mounted up on there. Got the pins through. There's not really much side to side movement, which every plow for these things has some slop in it. So we'll put the plow together and get all the rest of it going and get it mounted on here and see what we got. Here's where we're at now. You kind of see where the mount goes. This is the 4-inch lift for like the XPs because I got 32s on it, and I think just XPs in general would probably need this. Otherwise the blade won't sit flat on the ground. You put these blocks in, put your springs on. Starting to take shape. It's hanging off the ground right now. I lifted it all the way up. So I'll put the cutting edges on, and then we'll lift it up and down a couple times, and I'll give everybody a little overview of what I think of it and how it looks so far. We don't have any snow, but I may just push it down the driveway and see how it looks. Hey boys and girls, there she is. 72-inch steel, Moto Alliance Denali on a General XP with 32-inch carnivores. So if anyone's wondering, that 4-inch lift, as they call it, essentially just brings, the front of this thing is so tall that it brings it down so that when the blade is on the ground, you don't have like a funky angle or anything to it. And it looks pretty darn good to me. So, I mean, the thing is built sturdy, no doubt. I think the price point was pretty good. It's pretty simple installation, bunch of nuts and bolts, and I did it all by myself, so it's nothing that's too earth-shattering as far as how it needs to be put on. So now we gotta wait for some snow, but lifts up and down good. I'll get a quick video of that too. Lifts really high. In fact, I'm used to like a moose plow on my Razor where the push tubes go all the way to the back of the frame. And when you do that, the push tubes will hit the front of the frame, so you can only just go so high. Where this, if you started to get stuck, you could lift this way up. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's gonna work excellent. So I'll lift her up and down a few times so everybody can see how that looks, and wish her some snow. So there's up probably about as far as you're gonna wanna go. not really sure why you'd ever want to go higher than that, but like I said, if you're getting stuck or like we pull the kids in the sled, you know, we're pulling the kids in the sled, sometimes I don't want to take the plow off. This one does come off a whole lot easier than my last Moose plow and my Razor S though. So it may be a thing where I just plop it off and throw it in the corner when we're not using it. But yeah, it goes up good, goes down good. Definitely plenty of weight there for pushing. And when I talked to Peter, I told him, I said, I want something that I can push a little bit of snow with, push a little bit of gravel with, push a little bit of dirt with. Granted, I know, you know, this thing isn't a bulldozer, but we level off jumps just a little bit. It's loose dirt, a little bit of loose gravel. You know, this is a utility machine, so I want to be able to use it for utility. Essentially almost anything. Anything and everything this thing gets used for. As far as weight-wise, it really doesn't squat it down. Just about not at all. I mean, it's a heavy plow, but it definitely, there's not a whole lot of squat there. I'll have my wife come out and I'll pick it up and drop it down and just watch the suspension.